This video is intended to highlight the biocultural values found in Mars Creek, so that they may be considered and preserved during the proposed developments. In this video, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the Macquarie University land, the Wadamagal clan of the Doran Nation. Mars Creek enters Macquarie University campus, fed by urban stormwater in the suburb of Marsfield, and flows for over a kilometre through Macquarie University into the Lane Cove National Park. A Mars Creek environmental plan was commissioned during 2010 and 2011 by the university with the self-advertised aims of significantly improving water quality, native habitat restoration, and preservation of a scenic, educationally valuable, distinct green edge to the main teaching precinct of the campus. Shown is a map of the area of Mars Creek. Following is a map of the vegetation surrounding Mars Creek. As one can see, it is predominantly dry sclerophyll forests. Here is a map showing the land use surrounding Mars Creek. As one can see, it is largely educational due to the close proximity of the university. Here are the Indigenous sites mapped around the Mars Creek area. One must question if biocultural values of Mars Creek have been duly considered during this proposed development. Biocultural diversity is defined by Maffei in 2015 as the diversity of life in all its manifestations, biological, cultural, and linguistic, which are often interrelated and could have possibly been co-involved within a complex socio-ecological adaptive system. Put simply, a biocultural value is the importance placed on a plant or animal from a Western scientific and/or Indigenous perspective. This is of importance as biodiversity is increasingly under threat from anthropological climate change. This also correlates with a decline in cultural diversity. In a response to these trends, holistic and inclusive on-ground approaches with an emphasis on biological conservation is recommended. In accordance with Lear et al., cultural stewardship and future customary use of natural resources are often the key outcomes desired by Indigenous communities during ecological restoration initiatives and developments. Understanding this, the biocultural values of Mars Creek were recorded. This was done using CyberTracker software originally developed in South Africa as a means for people to communicate their environmental observations. This software was downloaded as an app on our Android devices and tracked our field work along Mars Creek. Here, several items of biocultural values were recorded. For example, shade trees. Large shade trees would have provided shelter from the sun for people and traditional custodians of the land in particular. In itself, these large trees hold great intrinsic value. Split trees. Here is shown a split tree. It is likely that this tree was split during its young days as a sapling to serve as a notable meeting place for Indigenous populations. Acacia longifolia. Used for gum, timber, fuel, wood, pollen fibre, and a source of carbohydrates. It is considered ornamental and importantly attracts bees. Banksia spinolucea, hairpin banksia. Its flower stalks used for fire sticks, and nectar is often sucked off the flowers. Bark trees. By its colloquial name, paper bark, it can be used for food and materials to create tools for Indigenous communities. Cleared land. This clear land near the river was most likely used as a spot of congregation for Indigenous communities. Fresh water. Indigenous peoples regard inland waters and rivers as an inseparable part of their estates, as well as the underpinning social and economic well-being of their communities. Indigenous peoples' relationship with waters, lands, and its resources are crucial to cultural vitality and resistance. In conclusion, biocultural values are extremely important to consider when developing in a site, and Mars Creek as no exception. This is to remove conflict and partake in sustainable development. To quote Enns et al., a shift towards inclusion of Indigenous biocultural knowledge in environmental conservation could enable more holistic, socio-ecological system approaches to managing the Earth's resources that moves beyond simple, tokenistic, unmeaningful Indigenous involvement.